From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DBacks, the PrimeTime Capper, and it is time for the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles Live. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. It is Wednesday, so today, you know what it is. We bring in the man himself, sports agent, sports radio aficionado, Mr. Mike Abadir. What's going on, Mike? How's everything going today, brother?
Pop, what's good? What's up, man? How are you?
I'm well. I'm just over here looking at these early MLB games and everything like that. It looks like the Astros and Royals are still at a log jam, 0-0. Actually 1-1 now. You got 2-1 lead for the Cardinals and Tigers game. Then you got the Rockies up 2-1 as well, too. So, you know
what's the worst thing about football season? Because there's a lot of hype right now about football and preseason and everything. Worst thing about football season is Wednesdays, right? Yes, like you got Monday Night Football to kind of carry you through Monday. There's nothing on Tuesday, but by the time Wednesday rolls around, you're kind of like fiending for something, and then you still got to wait till 5 o'clock on Thursday for a shitty game. You know, like usually worst game of the week is that Thursday night week, right? So Wednesdays is the roughest part about football. See, the best part of baseball is we get something every day, man. It gives you something every single day for 6 months. That's the beauty of baseball. Yes,
every single day. Be ready. You know, only 2 off days that you get during the week, Monday and Wednesday.
Yep.
And you got, and you know what? There's some teams that's played 15 games in a row. A lot of people wouldn't even know that.
Mm-hmm.
Where baseball, you might get 3 days off in a month sometimes. You know, it depends on how the schedule's working and things.
Exactly.
Like if you got a game rained out or something of that nature, you know how it goes. But look, you talked about football. We'll be bringing up baseball, you know, in a moment. But, you know, we always jump off into our 2 cents and all that good stuff. And what I'm going to start the show off with today is some pretty I wouldn't say shocking news coming out of Denver, but as pretty much they did bring Bridgewater in there to compete for the job. And Bridgewater has went ahead and won the job. Teddy Bridgewater is now going to be the starter for the Denver Broncos. At least week 1, he'll be the starter for the Broncos. So I think we're looking at ourselves now we have a team here in the Broncos that have the veteran glow to them a little bit when it comes to both sides of the ball. And then you got the redemption story in Teddy Bridgewater, and you got Von Miller, one of the most feared edge rushers in all of football as well, too. And it's kind of making a little bit of a perfect storm here for the Denver Broncos moving forward. I don't know if they have the offense to keep up with the mighty West because when you look at it, but this is not going to be an easy division for anybody this year, in my opinion. And I think that Teddy Bridgewater is pretty much him winning the job tells me that Denver wants to win football games this year. I think that if they would have had Drew Lock in place, they would have said, okay, we want to win, but, you know, we know that we're getting ourselves prepared for the next quarterback. But bringing in Teddy Bridgewater, this is exactly what Elway wanted, a veteran here to go ahead and help this team move forward and get them to where they need to get to, you know, pretty much either into the playoffs this year or get them close and get them confident. You know what I mean, Mike? Even if they don't make the playoffs this year, but get them confident for next year as well, too. So I think it's a brilliant move for Fangio if he wants to keep his job, and he went ahead and put in Mr. Bridgewater. So what are your thoughts on Bridgewater being named the Broncos starter?
You just stole my thunder there because this is all about Vic Fangio right here. He's kind of looking at it like, hey, man, if I go 4-12 this year, you know, I better start updating my resume.
Right.
Right. So, I mean, Elway, he kind of gives you either 3 years to tell him which quarterback you want him to get, or you got to win. But you can't lose and not help him figure out the next quarterback. Right. Remember, by the way, John Fox, when he won that Super Bowl with Peyton Manning, if he didn't win that year, he was going to be out. So, I mean, or was it Kubiak that won? Now I'm almost tripping myself up. It was Kubiak that was out, and they brought John Fox in, or is it the opposite of that? I apologize, guys.
Because they brought Kubiak in as the, pretty much everybody. Kubiak, they brought him in there as after the whole situation with the Texans and everything, him falling out and all that stuff.
Yeah. So I flipped it around, but you see, the point still is valid. The point still remains. John Fox, by the way, he was the one where Peyton Manning was putting up 5,000 yards and found that resurgence in Denver. But ultimately, he didn't win the big game, so he got the boot. And I guess what I'm saying is Vic Fangio really has no other choice if he wants to keep his job than to start winning some games now. And I think they've determined, Pop, that Drew Lock is not their quarterback of the future. That's what this means. Right. I don't think this means, after 3 seasons, we're going to give you a little bit more time to develop again. Nah. The guy had a perfect opportunity last year. He threw 16 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. He's not pathetic, but he's not an NFL starter. He's a good guy to have off the bench. I'll take Drew Lock any day off the bench. I think he's kind of in that, in baseball, they call it the 4A player.
Right.
Right. The guy who's not quite a major leaguer, but done everything you could do in the minors. Right. That's the 4A guy. And Drew Lock is kind of in that same category where he's a good NFL quarterback. He's not a starter. He's not a playoff winner. He's not the kind of guy that's going to take you to the Super Bowl. So bottom line, Pop, I think this is a good move. And let's face it, man, Teddy Bridgewater is a winner. Exactly. He's done everything he's been asked everywhere he's gone. Scratch that season with Carolina. That was just kind of an aberration. And McCaffrey was out and all the tools weren't there. So put a line, kind of like with a horse. You ever put a line through a horse's outing when it just is not reflective of how the horse runs? That's what I would do for Bridgewater in Carolina, because Carolina last season was a disaster. And when you look at it, Teddy Bridgewater, I don't know what his career record is. Maybe you do, Pop, but I know it's way above 500.
I know one thing, Minnesota should have never moved on from him, but they did.
Completely agree, man. They'd be in better shape now with him than Cousins. They would have a whole hell of a lot more money to bring in talent.
Right, because they kind of interrupted something that was about to be great in Minnesota when they did that. And
I think they lost their patience because of his knee injury, right? And they didn't know what he was going to come back and be and blah, 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 blah. But, man, knee injuries aren't that big of a deal anymore. I would be more worried if it's a shoulder injury or a neck injury like Andrew Luck or what Peyton had to go through. But knee injuries, guys come back from knee injuries all the time now.
Right.
Name a quarterback who suffered a knee injury who did not come back the same quarterback.
Right. And he was never a running quarterback.
He was never a running quarterback anyways.
So I don't know what the gist was of that. But you know what? He's in a better position now because he was able to go play with Drew Brees, but sit there and learn from a master in the NFL. He still has time. He was still young when it happened. Now he's the starter in Denver, exactly what he needs to be. It's almost like a Doug Williams story in a sense, you know what I mean, where you get your redemption at this moment in time. So there will be a lot of people rooting for Teddy Bridgewater this season. But the Broncos do still have a full slate of very tough games on their hands this year. But he has a better supporting cast than he had in Carolina, and we both can agree on that part right there.
For sure.
All right. In other news, we have an alliance being formed, a gang between three power conferences, and this is due to the fact that the Big 12 is about ready to dissolve, and the SEC made a big power move with Texas and Oklahoma coming as well too, and then you got the NIL situation as well too with the money's getting passed around from sponsors to student athletes and things like that. So you got to get so I'm wondering why we're forming an alliance now between the ACC, Big Ten, and Pac-12. It sounds like it's just them trying to regulate the money a little bit to me, Mike.
The quote coming out of the press release, at least, is saying that the aim of this is to stabilize a volatile environment throughout college athletics, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know really what an alliance is, because they don't have a contract between the three of them, between the three conferences. So what does an alliance mean if you don't have a contract?
Right.
So, and let's just say a Pac-12 team wants to go after an ACC coach after the season. Does that mean that all of a sudden teams cannot poach coaches and players and stuff from other teams? No. So I don't really know what the alliance exactly does, except for one thing. There's one thing that I think this does. It lets the SEC know, if you keep getting bigger and you bring in Texas and you bring in Oklahoma, we've got the power of three conferences as friends. Right? This is the Pac-12 bringing in their two other buddies saying, hey, man, come with me to this fight. East versus West, or SEC versus everybody else, basically. That just shows you how powerful the SEC is, that these guys felt that they have to do that. And that's all this is, Pop. Well, they say that they're going to tackle the feature structure of NCAA. They're going to go after social justice issues and gender equality issues and the college football playoff. Okay, well, you would have gone after those things even if there wasn't this alliance.
Right.
So this is more talk and perception than anything else, because there's no deal in place. There's no profit sharing. There's nothing along those lines whatsoever. But this is 100% a reaction to Oklahoma and Texas exploring their possibilities of the SEC. That's all this is.
Well, I hope everything works out. I think Texas might have been making the wrong move. Oklahoma might have went to the right place, to the SEC. I thought Texas might have wanted to go over to the Pac-12 and come join some good old friends like UCLA and, the greatest game ever played, USC. Pretty much, and have themselves maybe a easier way to the CFP in a sense. But, they're doing the Big 12 a favor, but the Big 12 can't exist without those two. And that's the biggest, problem in that situation as well, And then when I think about what's going to happen to the Big 12, I say the Big 12 and the AAC have to be, on the phone with each other, because Kansas, I'm going to tell you now, Kansas has already said that they're going to be on. They're looking at moving to the Big Ten if there was a Oklahoma Texas move of any type of faction, and they want to move basketball to the Big Ten. You know what I mean? And get with that conference, so then they can get some more love and some better and some more recruiting going on for Kansas in that Midwest area that they already fight with to get players from Big Ten school. They already are at war with Big Ten when it comes to recruiting in that area. So why not just jump into their conference, give yourself better basketball play, so you can be better in the tournament as well too. So I think that makes total sense with Kansas thinking about moving down the road and everything like that. Then they'll be able to get back with Nebraska and schools like that to have a little bit of a rivalry situation going from the good old Big 8 days. But and then what happens there is you get an upset Kansas State, so nobody's happy. Oklahoma State's very unhappy with Oklahoma right now, and it's just we're going into the big money phase of college football, and hopefully it won't be the end of college football, because as the great Dave, as the great Big East commissioner said, he said, let's make sure that we keep the chandeliers in the room. And I think that we're at that point now where we got people climbing up to the top of the roof trying to get that them chandeliers, man. And I think we got to kind of dial it back just a little bit, Mike. That's how I'm feeling, man.
Yeah, well, college athletics as we know it has probably changed forever with the advent of the NIL. And for those who don't know, basically college players can reap the rewards of their celebrity. That's just a casual summary there for the layperson. But I don't know, man. I think college sports are going to go through a big time transformation. And I think that there's a lot of programs that are going to lose their football program. There's a lot of schools that are going to lose their football program. I think what's going to happen is there's going to be a big time consolidation, Pop.
Right.
You're going to have maybe like, you're going to ultimately land with like maybe 6 conferences that play football overall.
Right.
Right. And in basketball, we've seen the talent thin out. They thought by making a requirement that you play freshman basketball that the NBA would kind of help college athletics rebuild, or at least college basketball rebuild. But it really hasn't, because players can go to China or anywhere else. Look at Lonzo Ball's brother. You know, you can go anywhere now and play college basketball, or during those college years, play basketball. And you want to get paid, or do you want some credits? Because you ain't graduating. So what do you prefer? Get paid in Greece? Get paid in Lebanon, Israel, China, Russian league, bunch of European leagues?
Right.
Or would you rather go for 1 or 2 years to college? I mean, kind of obvious to me.
Right. But, you know, man, I always tell myself, though, with this NIL thing is, man, I think the players have to be accountable for actually being students as well, too, if they're going to be making money off of the university, you know, using the university as a way to make money, because they have to play for the school, you know what I mean, for them to be able to be seen.
Absolutely.
I mean? And I think that
if you got to represent the school, then you got to represent everything the school asks you to do.
Right. And if you get $1 million and everything like that, you're going to have to show up for, we can't have you in the gym class 7 times. You know what I mean? That's just not fair to the other students, man. I think, I just think we're just setting back. I think that we're really, really, they're gambling here, Mike. You know what I mean? And there was a reason why they didn't want to pay athletes. They tried to pay athletes early in the college years, and then they didn't like the way that, you know, you had these rogue teams pulling up to games with 32-year-old guys and stuff. They don't know that they went to the school, and they don't know have a birth certificate on them. You know what I mean? So, and this is way, 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 way back in the day. They don't like to talk about these little ugly things, but it did occur. You know what I mean? So, you know, pretty much that's what I'm seeing with that. But let's go ahead and talk some NFL real quick. The NFL football preview for today. I know this is a team that's probably near and dear to you. I don't play politics and say I can't stand teams, but if it was one team that I couldn't stand, it's these guys. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I'm telling you why I can't stand the Steelers, because when I bet them, they don't want to show up. And when I bet against them, they do show up.
Hard team to figure out.
It's just a gift and a curse with this team. You got Ben Roethlisberger coming in here on year 18 now. And they went 12-4 last year, but they had one of the worst finishes of the season last year, where they lost their last 4 out of 5 games. Well, actually, their last 5 out of 6, because I should put the real record up there, 12-5. But you know what I mean, Mike? They hit 11-0, and they can only win 1 game after that. And pretty much this team is coming back this year with an over-under at 9. This year, I got him going under 9, because I think that the writing's on the wall that Big Ben is done. And I think by a week basis, they're going to show him that he's done. What are your thoughts?
They have the most underrated coach in the NFL, head coach. Does Mike Tomlin ever miss the playoffs, Pop?
No, not really.
No. So I think we got to give this guy some major props. If the benchmark of success in NFL is to get to the playoffs, this guy is successful every season. He finds a way. Roethlisberger injured, no problem. Running backs hurt, no problem. No Antonio Brown, no problem. The guy's overcome a lot, man. A lot of on-the-field issues, a lot of prima donna issues. I love Mike Tomlin, most underrated coach in the league. And I'm going to trust that he's going to figure it out, especially defensively, with the personnel that he's got. Keep something in mind. One of the reasons that they're always good is because all the players that you never hear about, the backup offensive lineman, the backup linebacker, etc., the Steelers do a great job developing those guys so that when their time is called on to be starters, they get plugged in. They do this better than any team. Simply put.
Well,
I think they're going to be a playoff team again because of that alone. Keep in mind also, their receiving core. Find me a better receiving core than Deontay Johnson, Juju, Smith-Schuster, and Chase Claypool. Tight end, Ebron. Roethlisberger's got a ton of weapons, man. They're going to put up some points. Yeah, I don't love Najee Harris and Benny Snell, McFarland. I mean, that's not the best running back core. But if your passing game sets up the running game, they could be effective. Defensively, that's Tomlin's area of expertise. He's got some guys in there led by linebackers Alex Smith and Devin Bush, TJ Watt, and then defensive end Cam Hayward, great DB and Joe Hayden, great safety in Minka Fitzpatrick. It's not a lot of holes, man. I'm not saying to wager on them point spread wise every week and have them F you, but I'm saying they're better than appears. This is a 10-6 team. They're going to compete for the division. I'll go over on the wins.
Well, the only reason why I'm going under is because I just don't feel like Roethlisberger is top tier anymore, in a sense. I know a lot of people still feel like he is.
He's not.
They do have a decent wide receiver core, but it's not like the one that they had when Antonio Brown was there. These guys can play, but in clutch situations, they were not there. You know what I mean? There was a lot of times in close games that they didn't show up. So pretty much I'm thinking to myself that the defense is going to have to be asked to do way too much this year once again. And I think that they're not going to be able to hold up the way that they've been able to hold up in the past. That's why I'm going up under 9, because the North is over the Steelers in a sense, in my opinion. You know what I mean? You got the war at home with the Browns and the Ravens coming up. You know what I mean? You know, the I used to be you, you used to be me, blah, 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 blah. Then you got Cincinnati, who's going to play. Cincinnati's not going to be a team that's going to be playoff bound, but they're going to play spoiler a lot during the season, especially within the division as well, too. So I just feel like the Steelers are just going to have they're not going to have the easiest road like it was last year, where they just were able to dominate, because you know that they were dominating against a weak NFC East, NFC East last year as well, too. And it seemed like that the North Division really had the number of the South Division last year as well, too, when it came to those AFC games that they played. So, you know, the schedule will be a little different this year, but I do really respect your opinion as well, too, because I'm saying this as somebody who said this last year that the Steelers should be falling off. So Mike will probably sit up in here and see these guys get 10 wins before we even, scratch the surface. They'll be 10-0. So, he knows. So pretty much we know what the Steelers are capable of doing. Will they still be able to do it? We will see once we get to the opening game this season. But, you know, it's just I just feel like when you got older quarterbacks, at some point your team is not going to be able to respond to that older quarterback as well, too. And they don't have anybody in the chute when it comes to being a backup. I know they have Haskins, and I know that they have Rudolph as well, too. But those guys are not good enough to get you 10, 11 wins if Roethlisberger goes down with the season-ending injury like he did a few years prior. You know what I mean? When they did miss the playoffs with what's his name, with Rudolph and Devlin Hodges, who was just cut by the Rams the other day. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, older quarterbacks are thriving right now. Look at Aaron Rodgers. Look at Breeze last year. Breeze wasn't who he was before. He couldn't even throw it 40 yards downfield, but he put up great numbers. You know, Rodgers, Brady, Breeze, all these guys are old by NFL standards and doing really well. It's all about reinventing the offense to work with their arm strength currently. But keep in mind, man, they're great decision makers at that age. They've seen it all.
And they got great protection as well, too, because if they ain't getting protected, brother, Mike, you already know what time it is. Well, you know, sweetie, I got hit really hard on Sunday, and I just kind of things in my life kind of flashed before my eyes. You know, these guys are pretty clean every Sunday as well, too. But if they were taking the ass kickings that Montana and Marino and one of my favorites, Bernie Kosar, used to take, then they would be done, Mike. And Steve Young as well, too. Steve Young kept getting knocked out. And now you see how debilitating it is now, because sometimes you can't even remember what he's talking about on the ESPN set. You know, these guys are in a different category. They're protected by two entities, the offensive line and the referee. And so with that,
true.
I'm gonna close it out on that note, Mike. We gotta take a quick commercial break. When we get back, we're gonna go ahead and talk about some baseball real quick and see where we're at this for today, and see what I got up my sleeve for some talking tickets as well too, Mike.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, brother. We will be right back in a moment. This is the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Bengals, live with the one and only Pop DBacks, the Primetime Capper, and the man himself, Mr. Mike Abadir, and we will be right back.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DBacks, the Primetime Capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune into Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, we are back with the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles, live with the one and only Pop DBIC, the Primetime Capper, and the man himself, Mike Abadir. And pretty much we are here to talk about some baseball real quick. And I know we're going to talk about a team that Mike can't stand, but you know what? They have a daily portion on the show daily, Mike. So there's nothing you can do about it, because, you know, we got to talk about that 5-2 win last night against the Padres, which was very, very good for the Dodgers. Even though the Giants did get an 8-zip win over the Mets, it doesn't matter. The Dodgers are still keeping right where they need to be, because it seems like at this point right now, the Giants are still in first place, but the Dodgers are starting to get into what I like to call playoff mode, really in championship mode. And now the Giants are just surviving as the Dodgers just keep going ahead and peeling off games left and right. And this would make their last 13 out of 16, Mike, that they've won. And pretty much I'm saying this because next week they get themselves situated and prepared for the biggest series of the year against the Giants, the 3-gamer in San Francisco next week. So they need to be right where they're at with the 2.5 games, maybe 1.5 games. And if they're able to be successful in that Giant series next week, I think that they take off from there and they literally go ahead and win the division right from there. Because now we're at the stretch, Mike. It's time to get Zenyatta with it, Beholder with it. You know what I mean? And you can just hear a Trevor Denman voice in the background going, here comes the Dodgers. Here comes
they would need
Dodgers.
to sprout wings.
Yeah,
they would need to sprout wings.
Sprout wings. Telling you, the Giants have been the front runner the whole season, and then you see San Diego going back, the hot shot kid. That everybody, the wise guy's favorite is, tilting back a little bit. And, the Diamondbacks and Rockies been just, as hanging with each other all year. As I like to say when we watch horse racing, I hate a hanger when he's on the stretch. When he's supposed to win the race, he always likes to finish second or just hang. Stop hanging out.
Who would have thunk that the Padres would be 14 games back?
I'm not surprised because I didn't feel like Tatis was going to give you 160. Well, nobody's going to give you 162 games. Everybody gets a day off, two at least 4 or 5 days off a month. But Tatis is a guy that you knew who was going to miss 40 to 50 games just because the way he plays the game. And he's got some bad. The shoulder keeps coming in and out of place. Machado can only be trusted a few weeks a month. You know what I mean? Maybe a week or two out the month. And so I just kind of felt the Padres were a little bit not ready for the moment. I know that a lot of people got excited because they were in the playoffs last year and they played so well in the playoffs. But the thing is, though, that was a shortened season and things are a little different now. Now we're actually in a full season, and now your real true colors are coming out.
Yeah, for sure. Agreed. And look, they were a good team last year. They added Darvish. They added Snell, who hasn't really worked out. They've had the injury bug, but so have the Dodgers, right?
Right.
Dodgers have been able to withstand Kershaw, Betts, etc. Bellinger having an off year. The Dodgers are the template, man. Template of success.
Yep, and I think that pretty much the Padres, in a sense, got a little bit too far ahead of themselves, and they thought that everything's going to work, that everything should work out now because we got what we feel is the best player in all of baseball, but he's one of the most exciting players in all of baseball, but this best player in baseball idea is kind of far-fetched in a sense, bro. So, and there's no offense to Tatis, who's an absolute baller. He's an absolute gem. Well, we need players like that in the MLB. But at the end of the day, though, that's not going to help your team win championships, though.
No doubt about that.
If they're not named the Yankees, if they're not named the Dodgers, you got to learn how to be a team player in a place like San Diego. And I
for sure
he's doing that there, to be honest with you. I think that it's more about him than anything else. You know what I mean? And
yeah, absolutely.
And I know San Diego fans probably don't want to hear that because I got a lot of Padre fans that I do know. But pretty much, they should know that they have a player who's really good, but it's really all about him. Mike, do you need to take a quick break?
I was just turning on the fan because it's getting hot in here.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
that's a live TV for you.
Yeah, it's about to be 95 degrees today, Mike. So stay cool, brother. You know what I mean? Try to stay cool. 95 dry heat. We just came from Vegas where it was actually pretty good the last few days.
It wasn't bad.
It wasn't that hot. I had my air conditioner on 67 instead of 65. You know what I mean? So pretty much it was all good. The sun still was brutal, but it was all good. The Dodgers went 5-2 tonight. They should be able to this should be another really good game for them tonight. They got Let me double check, make sure who's on the mound tonight. And they have Walker, Bueller, on the mound going against Blakey Snelly. And Blake Snelly, Blake Snell is a 5-inning pitcher, bro.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were
always
so
has
upset.
been.
They were so upset during the World Series when he got pulled out of the game. They did not know that. I just tried to tell everybody the Dodgers were going to bomb him out just like they bombed out the reliever that came into the game, because that's just about time to get to Blake Snell.
Yep.
You know what I mean? They thought that was the dumbest pitching move in a lifetime. But you know what? That's analytics for you. And they knew what happened in the first time of getting around with Snell. That's the inning that he got absolutely shredded by the Dodgers in. So they knew that. I knew that. But the fans didn't know that because, everybody's in their emotions. They're so emotional, Mike. Everybody is thinking that everybody wants to get back to the 1972 mentality when they see certain moments happening, you know what I mean? But they don't understand what happened the time before. So Blake Snell gets to start today. He's 6-5 on the year, Mike. So that means that he's shown up about 30 some odd times this year, but he's only been able to get 11 decisions, and so that pretty much means that, you got a pitcher that's decent, but he's not somebody that you can really say, okay, he's the ace of our staff, which they thought he was going to be. I think that with this game today, this is a game where Blake Snell has to step it up because he hasn't been good in his last few starts. Over the last 10 innings, he's been giving up 5 runs, 8 hits, but he struck out 15 as well, too, walked 4 as well. But I think that this is something that the Dodgers can pounce on, even though he did have an electric game against the Diamondbacks back at home on the 8th when he struck out 13. So we'll see how it goes, Mike. But
this is what they brought Snell in for, man.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes, though. What are your thoughts on that?
Walker. He's been great all season, man.
Yeah, Bueller 13-2 on the year.
He's been rock solid. This is what they brought Snell in for, and he's been a failure. Simply put. Doesn't eat up a lot of innings, like you said. He's a 5-inning guy, but he's no longer dominant in the 5 innings. Kind of tells you something about Tampa.
Right.
Tampa does a masterful job to get the most out of their pitchers.
Yep.
Name a guy who was better outside of Tampa than in Tampa. Starting from Carl Crawford till now. They all were the best with Tampa.
Right.
No doubt.
Right. I got to agree. I think that you're onto something there, Mike. I think what happens here tonight, though, I expect over in this game tonight, Mike. I think that the Padres get a couple runs off of Bueller tonight. I think the Dodgers get a
What's that
couple
over under at?
Snell is at 8. So I think it's very doable tonight. We're better.
I'll take over.
Yeah, and there's good value on both sides. Minus 145 on the Dodgers, plus 120 on the Padres. So we'll see how it goes tonight and see how it shakes out. But Dodgers in a must-win situation. Padres in a must-win situation too, because now they're not even in the wild card race. Cincinnati overtook them, and who was heavy on Cincinnati? Yeah, Mike, I'm telling you, you can see them coming from a mile away sometimes, Mike. But yeah, we'll go ahead and get into our MLB preview, so we can go ahead and get to these talking tickets. We're not going to so up first, we have ourselves a doozy here, Mike. We got the White Sox and the Blue Jays, but White Sox won the game yesterday, 5-2. Today they come back. They're trying to go ahead and win the series and everything like that. You got Giolito on the mound for the White Sox. You got Robbie Ray on the mound for the Blue Jays. Both have been pitching well. Giolito 9-9 this year, 169 strikeouts, over 42 walks. Robbie Ray having his best season ever, 178, over 36 walks. So pretty much you got two of the best hitting teams in the league. They hit well for average, both of these teams. But I think tonight, though, what happens here is that the White Sox get themselves a good win over a very good Blue Jays team that's going to barely miss the playoffs this year.
Well said. I mean, the White Sox have matched every test they've been confronted with. Ray's playing out of his mind. Giolito's the man. Ray's a little bit better statistically, but I'll take the White Sox here. I think they've been, a solid road team. The Blue Jays do not have a home field advantage so far this year, or at least they haven't played like it.
Canada, bro. Nah, they're back in Canada. They went back to Canada 3 weeks, like a month ago.
No, I realize that. I'm saying record-wise, they've not been like dominant at home or anything.
Right.
Or since they've been in Toronto. So they're seeing their playoff chances slip. White Sox will pounce. Take that plus 105 to the bank.
Yes, and I'm going to just be honest with you. The reason why the Blue Jays kind of got interrupted is because now it's turned into a Yankee summer. You know how they say hot boy summer, hot girl summer? It's a Yankee summer. As soon as they got Rizzo and Gallo, you know what I mean? And now they got 2 Mafia named guys on the team, so it's all good. You know what I mean? It's all working out for them. The law offices of Rizzo and Gallo.
Yeah.
Done right now. But
no doubt.
We move on, and this line is coming down a little bit as well too. So we move on, and we got the Diamondbacks and the Pirates in what I like to call under the radar games. And this game should be a fun one to take part in. But I really do think that this is once again a game that you just scoreboard watch. You don't give yourself a headache. It's a 50-50.
2 bad teams.
Lines. Yep.
2 really bad teams. Hey, Pop, can I take a quick time out here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I apologize, folks. I will be right back.
All right. So, but when we get down to it, Diamondbacks and the Pirates, they should be pretty good today. But I think that the under 8.5 should be the play here. Yesterday, the game went under as well, too. So I think this will be in that same category as well, too, with the game going under. So that's what I'm thinking here with the D-backs and the Pirates. So then let's go ahead and move on to the Rangers and the Indians. Yesterday, I was able to cash in on the Rangers yesterday as a plus 150 dog at dog, with them getting themselves a nice little win over the Indians yesterday. There was some things that worked out for me in the court because we had a pretty good pitcher on the mound that the Indians did not know much about. And I felt like from right as soon as I saw the value on the Rangers yesterday that they should be able to beat this Indians team that's kind of that was coming back from a road trip from the Little League World Series. So I was thinking that possibly that, that could play a factor into the game because, that they played a long game, but they had a lot of fun with the kids over the weekend as well, too, where they was doing a lot of, hanging out and stuff like that. They weren't like in their usual mental focus and phase and things of that nature. So pretty much I did like to go ahead and take the Rangers yesterday to 150, and it did work out for us yesterday. So pretty much it is what it is at the end of the day. This game is another one that I look at and I say to myself, well, they're switching pitchers around a little bit here with the Rangers and the Indians guys. Please act on the mound today. So I think that the Indians should be good money for you today. Yesterday, I just felt like coming off of that situation in Williamsport that, that they would be a little off, you know what I mean? Because they just were playing at a Little League ballpark. So you bring in the Rangers, the team that had some bad mojo in Boston this weekend. They wind up winning the game 13-3, and then they lose via walk-off the day before in an early game that they weren't supposed to play in. So I felt like the science was take the Rangers, and it absolutely worked out. But today, I think the Indians bounce back and get themselves a good win today. Mike, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, Plesac is not pitching to his standards, but he's a good pitcher nonetheless. And I think the Rangers are in over their head here. I apologize for the interruption, by the way, guys. If you see me making weird facial expressions, I've got crazy sinus pressure going on right now. It feels like my eyes are going to pop out of my head. It feels like I went up 30,000 feet on an airplane or something. So I keep trying to pop it and clear it. And having a difficult time doing so. So when you see weird facial expressions, just know that's live TV for you. Indians, man. I'll take the minus 200.
Man, Mike is over here doing the MJ for us. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Hey, doing the MJ for us, Game 6. All right, we'll move on. Let's talk about the Giants at the Mets. This is a huge one today. It's actually in reverse. The Mets are actually the favorite today, but the Mets are absolutely cooked, in my opinion. Mike, they absolutely cooked, in my opinion, brother, because they were the first place team in the division for so long, and they've really fallen off. And they got whooped yesterday, but I think today
they've kind of flip-flopped with the other New York team.
Yeah, because the Yankees was playing piss poor baseball, and now they're playing Yankee baseball. The Mets were playing good baseball, consistent baseball, but I wouldn't say it was great baseball. I would just say that the NL East was slow to get started. Is that
true? And I think DeGrom getting hurt took a lot of steam out of them.
Right, because now you take away that first day starter who actually was a big influence into that locker room as well, too. Now Taijuan Walker is not pitching the same that he did after the All-Star break. He's been getting absolutely crushed. Marcus Stroman is probably the best thing that they got going in that situation, in my opinion. And then you got McGill, who's still a young pitcher that has glimpses of showing greatness, but then he has moments where it's very inconsistent. So, the Giants are in a situation right now where they got to hold serve. You know what I mean? They got to hold serve because now they're surviving. The Dodgers are galloping. The Dodgers are making that move, and they're getting faster. They're getting stronger, and it's starting to get much more difficult for the Giants to hold on to this situation. But, they keep running into the right teams. You know what I mean? Teams that are losing baseball games consistently. So I think tonight the Giants come into this one with the same game face on that they had the other day. You got Johnny Cueto, the savvy old vet, on the mound for you as well, too. But this is a real 50-50 shot, too. These pitchers are like literally the same when you look at them on paper. So I say to myself, this should be another really good game, but I feel like you get the over here today as well, too. I'm not picking a side here. Mike, what are your thoughts on this one?
I'll take the Giants and the over.
Okay.
Best record in baseball, only team with 80 wins, 14 games above 500 on the road are the Giants.
Right.
They just keep winning, man. I wasn't sold on them all the way through the All-Star break, but I can't deny them any longer. Take the Giants and the over.
Got you, Big Mike, on that one. Got you, brother. All right, so we'll see how it goes, man. We'll see. It's going to be funny when it's a week ago when we talk about the Giants. I'm waiting for that time.
Yep.
I'm waiting for it. All right. We got Nats Marlins here. They're really not the last game, but they're here. Nats Marlins. This one is a fun one in a sense, in my opinion. I think that what happens here is that you have a team here in the Marlins struggling right now. I wouldn't say that they're tanking. They're just not really good right now. So when it comes down to it, you pretty much have yourself a very, very keen game between two teams that are just waiting for the season to end, but you still got to get value here. And I think the value in this game goes back to the Nats because the Nats have been playing some pretty fun baseball as of late. You know what I mean? They've been giving teams the blues in a sense. I've been seeing it a lot lately, Mike, with the Reds, that they are giving teams the blues. So what are your thoughts real quick on that one? Plug your stuff. I think you might need to plug your mic back in.
Yeah, man, today I've had some serious issues here. Josiah Gray, former Dodger, big prospect, right? On the other side, you got Edward Cabrera. He's one of the Marlins' top prospects. He's been out with an injury, arm injury, but he's now back. 23-year-old Dominican. I will take the Marlins here because he was so good in AAA. This guy, or in the minors, I should say. This guy was brilliant in the minors. And I think that this is going to be a good young pitcher's duel here between Josiah Gray and Edward Cabrera. Trying to pull up Cabrera's minor league numbers here just so I could tell you why he's considered a top prospect. Let's see here. 23-year-old right-handed Dominican. Before I get to his stats, let me say this. Jeter has been working on this rebuild for a couple of years now. And I think we're starting to see some glimpses. They're going to need to add some pieces. But what he needs to see is that some of these young guys that have been brought up develop into stars. I think that's what Derek Jeter needs to see. And it's a good time to start tonight with Edward Cabrera. This guy in single and double A was pretty dominant, like I was saying. 2.09 ERA, it looks like, the year before. The last minor league season, I should say. 223, there it is. 9-4 record, double A. That was 2019. And he's continued on to show good form, arm injury and all. So that's a quick moment about Edward Cabrera and the Marlins prospects.
All right. Well, we got a face-off. We got to do it with me and Mike tonight. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, one of us will win tonight. So it's all good. It's all good. It's just I can't trust the Marlins. Marlins just keep burning up money on me this year. They used to be a money team for me. Now they have burned the money team. All right, let's go ahead and talk about our final game of the on the ticker, and it's going to be the Brewers and the Reds. And you know what? The Brewers are riding high, feeling fine, on their way. The most not talked about team in baseball, but you know what? They like it that way. They like it that way, Mike. They do. They really do like it that way, brother. And they want to make sure they don't see him coming. You know what I mean? And somebody from Milwaukee the other day ran up on us when we were in Vegas. You weren't with us, but I was in the book, and somebody came in the book and was like, make sure you bet Milwaukee because, we just got the basketball championship and blah, 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 blah. I was like, well, you're okay.
That's a good imitation.
I say, too, LA has say, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, that's great your team won an NBA championship, but the Brewers is a different story, brother.
Different sport, even.
Different sport.
Believe it or not, it's a different sport completely.
They're dealing with different animals than the Bucks did. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
Nobody's hurt here like in the NBA.
Exactly.
Nobody missed their moment. None of that stuff. So hey, it is what it is at the end of the day because we both know if the Sixers beat the Hawks, come on, Mike.
Yeah. They
probably run roughshed on the because. Was Giannis going to stop and beat? No, he wasn't. But this is baseball. Let me stick to the script. Mike, this is my dog of the day. I'm going with the Reds. Luis Castillo, get me home, brother. That's all I ask you to do is just get me home, brother.
I'm going to ride with Castillo too, man.
Right.
I'm going to ride with the Reds. Your team
40 is too good to pass up. I know they got smoked yesterday, and they've been getting smoked by the Brewers, but today is a different day, Mike. I think Luis Castillo steps it up, has himself a game. I think the Brewers overplay here a little bit, and they get beat.
I agree. And Woodruff, he's been great all year long, but he's shown some chinks in the armor over the last month. He's not as dominant as he was in the first part of the year. I'll take Castillo, man. I'll take this as a long shot play, plus 140. Add a few bucks to the parlay, man, which I know you're about to get into here.
Right. So let's go ahead and get into it. And it's going to be a good one, Mike. It's a good one.
40 to 1?
Yeah. No, sir. A little bit
50 to 1?
No,
60 to 1. Love it.
All right. So we got the White Sox here plus 100 because they've been getting bet down under 8.5 with the Diamondbacks and the Pirates. 1.5 to the Indians today. Then we got the over 8.5 with the Giants and the Mets. And then we got the Nats minus 115. And then we have the Reds plus 140. And whoop, there it is, 60 to 1. Single what you like. Mike, what do you think of this?
I like this, man. For 60 to 1, great value. And I think that's a sneaky good play, the minus 1.5 on the Indians against the Rangers. I like this, man. Throw a 20 for me on this.
Yep, $1,200 for you, Mike.
I like it.
$1,200. There it is, 60 to 1 right there for you guys. And hopefully we get that bad boy. We get that bad mama jamma home. Bad mama jamma. You know, so it is what it is. And me and Mike actually fell up under an hour. So it is that's new. That's new.
It's very rare for us.
Yeah, that's new. What's called, but hey, it is what it is today, Mike. I want to make sure Mike feels better because that sinus thing ain't no joke. No. So pretty much we're gonna let you get some rest and everything like that. And you guys already know what to do. You guys can catch Mike tomorrow on his great show with It's Me, Gino Bacola, with the 4:00 show, 4:00 drive-through show. You know, if you're on the freeway in LA, you know that's what you listen to, the Mike Abadir show. If you're over there getting that early cocktail and everything, you're ready to get your race on and stuff, you got to make sure you listen to Mike and Gino as well, too, at 7 o'clock. So, hey, they got you covered. So you guys make sure to tune into the Mike Abadir show tomorrow at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific time.
There you have it, man. Well said. That was the best commercial I've heard for the Mike Abadir show.
Right,
I may have some Manny Pacquiao commentary for tomorrow. So for all boxing fans, tune in. We'll see. The fight was on Saturday, but the fight ain't over yet. So that's a quick tease for tomorrow. But as always, thanks, Pop. Appreciate being on here. Apologize for having some technical issues, both technology and with my sinuses. My head is about to explode. Need to take a Sudafed.
Boy said he need a Sudafed.
Yeah.
All right. So that's that. We're going to let Mike get his rest. And I thank you guys so much for tuning in today. This is the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles, live with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, and my man, Mike Abadir, the sports agent aficionado. And we are gone.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.